Okay, guys, phones off, like mine wasn't before. Just a brief announcement that we've got, as you can see, you've got these on your chair. So in 2 weeks' time, there's of course Pure Mind, Pure World, which is a wonderful follow-on from what Eddie's been teaching us today so far, and it's highly recommended. It'll be the last one before we break for Christmas. Summer. Yeah. But we will be having, there's lots still going on, it's just these courses. During the week we have meditations in the morning and in the evening we have classes very similar to this in the evening as well. You know, you've seen it. If you haven't, take a picture of the schedule that's on the wall out here with your phones, and that tells you everything we do during the week. And then we're on the 21st, I think it's a Sunday, we're having a barbecue in the garden after the Sunday morning class at between 10 and 11. So after that, we're doing a special prayers for world peace. It's like the final thing before we go off on our summer holidays. So we're doing prayers for world peace, thanksgiving to our spiritual guide, and then we'll have a barbie in the garden, veggie barbie. Okay, so please come to that.
Thanks everyone. So, hope everyone has a nice break. So so in this session we're going to look at the actual meditation on death. Yeah. So we'll start off with our breathing meditation again. Yeah, okay. So we just get into a nice stable posture. So, as we did in the first session, we're simply just focusing on the sensation of air as it enters and leaves at the tip of our nose. Just ignore any distracting thoughts, any external noises. If you do get distracted, as soon as you realise, bring your mind back to your breath. few minutes, really try and hold your focus on your breath and resist any distracting thoughts. So now we can engage in the chanted meditation, the liberating prayer.
O Blessed One, Shakyamuni Buddha, precious treasury of compassion, bestower of supreme inner peace, you who love all beings without exception, are the source of happiness and goodness, and you guide us to the liberating path. Your body is a wish-fulfilling jewel. Your speech is supreme purifying nectar, and your mind is refuge for all living beings. With folded hands I turn to you, supreme unchanging friend. I request from the depths of my heart, please give me the light of your wisdom to dispel the darkness of my mind and with an unceasing banquet of delight. Through your compassionate intention, your blessings and virtuous deeds, and my strong wish to rely upon you. May all suffering quickly cease, and all happiness and joy be fulfilled, and may holy Dharma flourish forevermore.
Okay, thanks everyone. So, yeah, this session we're going to look at the meditation on death, which I think is my favourite meditation, you know, certainly the one I've done the most. It's kind of my go-to one, really. You know, and I remember, like, you know, my girlfriend's funny enough, like, probably shouldn't be talking about this, but my girlfriend, like, the first time I ever met her, and was walking with her, went for a walk, and she was saying that, she said, you know, I struggle to talk about meaningless things, you know, all the time. She says, I was on holiday recently, and I said, what do you think happens when you die? And everyone was like, oh my God, shut up. You're on holiday, you know. And I looked at her and thought, you're the girl for me, you. Honestly. because we don't, like, we don't want to think about death, do we? We don't want to think about it, talk about it. We don't even see it anymore, really, do we now? Like years ago, you'd all live together, wouldn't you? The child, the baby, the teenagers, the parents, the grandparents, they'd all living in one house. And when Grandad got sick, he'd be in his bed for a few weeks, then he'd die. And he'd get carried downstairs, propped up in the living room for, you know, for a week. And everyone would come around and have a bevy with him and say goodbye and that, and, you know. So you'd be able to see it, you know, even from a small child's point of view. You'd be able to see it, wouldn't you? Like, oh, you know, he's dead. That's what it looks like, you know. Like, whereas now, people are just whisked off the Aussie, aren't they? You know, you're whisked off the Aussie, and the next time you see him, they're in a box going through a curtain with a Celine Dion record playing. It's like, what was all that about? What happened there, you know? It's weird, isn't it? You know, it's all sanitized now. You know, I know, like, when my mum died, you know, I was 6 when my mum died. And even then, you know, like, that was in the 70s. But it was like, it'd gone that way even then, because, like, it was like, oh, don't, you know, it's too upsetting for the children. Don't tell the children, you know. Like the parish priest said, no, the children can't go to the funeral. Apparently, like, children can't go to the funeral. It's too upsetting for them. So I was like 6, and then, it's like, you know, my ma died, disappeared. She's disappeared. And no one said nothing. Don't say nothing, there's the children. Don't say nothing. It's like, where's my ma gone? And just to add to the confusion, the person, it was a nun who told me, and she said, your mum's gone to a better place. So I thought you'd gone to Blackpool or something, do you know what I mean? Seriously, you know, I didn't understand, just to add to me. So it was like, I remember months and months later, getting dead upset, and it dawned on me, she's not coming home. She's gone, she's not coming back. So people think it's thinking about death is scary and morbid. Geisler says we should think about death every day. Every day. We should think about our death death before we do our practice. You know, if we're going to do some meditation, the first thing, do 5 minutes of death meditation. You know, it'll sharpen our mind. You know, it'll deepen our practice, sharpen our practice, you know. So, you know, we don't see death. Now, occasionally we are confronted with it, like when someone dies, you know, or we have a health scare. As I say, in November I had a heart attack. You know, so you're forced to be confronted by it, aren't you? You know, I think that's why I got the gig today, to be honest. No, seriously, when they asked me, it was, oh yeah, maybe it's because I'm like a really good Buddhist or something, or it's because I'm a great teacher. No, it's because I was lying in the acute cardiac ward for a week, to scared witless, looking at the ceiling, contemplating my own mortality. I think they thought he'll do for us. We'll get him on the gig, you know. So, yeah, when we can have a health scare, or we can have, or someone dies, and we think about it, and we're confronted, we're forced to think about it. I think what's it all about, you know. But then it kind of passes, doesn't it? And then we're back to thinking about, you know, mundane things and doing or cracking on with our life, you know. But thinking about death is not morbid at all. It's not morbid and it's not depressing. It's quite the opposite. Quite the opposite. It, you know, it gives meaning to our life. You know, it makes us take the real essence of our life, make the most of our life, you know, while we have the chance. It stops us wasting our life. So it's not depressing. What is depressing is getting to the end of your life, you know, as I say, and not preparing for it and thinking, oh no, I'm being terrified, you know, or thinking, what was all that about? And wasting this opportunity, that's depressing, isn't it? You know, dying unprepared. Death Sess, on page 2, if we do not keep death in mind throughout our life, when the time of our death comes, we shall suddenly discover that all our wealth and possessions, our friends and relatives cannot help us. Since we have not built up an inner strength through spiritual practice, we shall feel intense regret for having wasted our life, as well as fear of what will happen during and after our death. Our tears and cries for help will be too late. We should be like Monzral Chondrak, a Tibetan greatly admired by all who knew him for his many worldly skills and talents. He led a very full life, travelling from place to place and meeting many people. But when his death came, suddenly he cried out, I have done so much, engaged in so many business ventures, so many worldly activities, but none of these will be any use to me now. People say I am very clever, but in fact I'm incredibly stupid because I've completely neglected spiritual practice, which is the only thing that can help me at this time. I've wasted my whole life doing things that are of no real benefit. He felt strong regret and wept, and in this miserable state of mind he passed away. So we don't want to be dying like that, do we? You know. You know, Buddha said of all the meditations on the path to enlightenment, he said of all the animals in the forest, the elephant leaves the deepest footprint. And of all the meditations on the path to enlightenment, death leaves the deepest imprint on our mind. You know, so I would highly recommend meditating on death regularly, I really would, you know. That's the reason I'm sitting here now, to be honest, because I meditated on death every day for 5 months, 6 months maybe, and I thought I'm going to make my life meaningful, so I moved in here, you know, and started, you know. So don't worry, like if you start meditating on death, you're not going to shave your head and move into a Buddhist centre. You might do, but you know, you know, but it's, you know, like I read, you might have heard me mention this lady before, I read an article in the paper about a woman who, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she got a letter, you know, and she got diagnosed and the results so deep, but there was nothing he could do for her. He said, sorry girl, but go home and make peace and die, basically. So she did. So she went home and she sold a house, packed a job in, she sold a house, she gave away all her stuff, you know, dished out all her money and stuff, and you know, and tried to make the last days of her life meaningful. Then she got a letter off the NHS to say, oh, there's been a terrible mistake. No, this is true, this is true. You're not going to die. You know, we got the results mixed up, you're not going to die. Right? And the news reporter who's doing the interview said to her, oh my God, yeah, it's terrible, you know. You must be going to sue the NHS for every penny you can get. And she said, no way. No way, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Because I realised the meaning of my life. Yeah. You know, that's a true story. I read it in The Guardian. In reality, we can die any time, can't we? You know, a couple of months ago, my mate went upstairs, made his missus a brew in the morning, went downstairs and died. You know, his heart stopped. He had a cardiac arrest. His heart stopped, breathing stopped, consciousness left, gone. And his missus come down and said, you know, he was a practical joker. Me mate, she said, she went over to him and went, you're not dead, come on, stop messing about. But he was. You know? But he was, yeah, he was, yeah. His last joke, yeah. It was a cracking one. So, you know, we can die anytime, which is the essence of this meditation we're going to do. Because, like we spoke about in the first session, the only way to end our suffering is to follow a spiritual path. It's the only way, you know, is to work on reducing and finally eliminating and abandoning negative states of mind, negative habits of mind, and by extension of that, our negative actions, and by perfecting positive states of mind. It is the only way. It's the only way to end suffering in this life. And if we don't get enlightened in this life, we are sowing the seeds so we can carry on in our next life and our next life and our next life until finally we get there. And we eradicate all traces of negativity from at the deepest level of mind, and we're enlightened. That's all enlightenment is. It's purifying and realising our mind at the deepest level. That's it. You know? And it is the only way is to follow a spiritual path. But if we do not have if we forget about death, yeah, we'll have we'll have little interest in spiritual practice, really, you know. It won't really be as important, you know. We'll lack urgency. You know, it's like when you're a kid and you break up for someone else's, you've got 6 weeks. You've got your own work to do, but you've got 6 weeks, you know what I mean? It's miles, 6 weeks is miles away. Will we think our death is miles away? Who thinks they're going to die today? Hands up. None of us. We think we're going to die, but we're going to die miles away in the future, aren't we? This is what we think, you know. This is what it seems like, you know. So because of this way we were looking at it, you know, we lack effort in our spiritual practice. We lack effort. Like, before I moved in here, like, I you know, thought, oh, you know, I need to do some spiritual practice, me, and, you know. So I'd done my spare room up as a meditation room, my own little compare I had, my own little meditation room. But still, I'd think of other things to do. Do you know what I mean? I'll just wash up. I never washed up. I hated washing up, but I'd get into washing up and go and do some meditation and practice, you know. So, because now if we knew we had a finite line, he said, you've got 2 years left. Okay, I've got, you know, you'd really crack on, yeah? Or you've got a week left or whatever. but we don't, you know. So because we forget about death, as I say, we lack agency, you know, we don't put effort in. Our practice isn't pure, you know, be a bit half-hearted about it, you know. So this is called a type of laziness. Buddha says this is a type of laziness called the laziness of attachment. You know, we're attached to just this life, the things of this life. It's intoxicating, isn't it? I know meditation makes you feel better, you know, in the long run. But that piece of cheesecake and EastEnders will make me feel better now, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do that, you know, or I'm going to go and see my mates or do whatever, you know, and the short-term things, isn't it? I think, you know. So this is called the laziness of attachment. Buddha calls this the laziness of attachment. We are just intoxicated by samsaric pleasures, aren't we? Or we just get caught up in this, all this, you know. All this meaningless stuff. Spends our life engaged in just meaningless stuff the most of the time, aren't we? Meaningless conversations and meaningless, you know. It's funny, like I work in mental health. Sometimes, you know, I work on an emergency rota. And one thing I like about it, and I wasn't going to talk about this come in my mind, but like, so I assess people who now under the Mental Health Act, you know, at like 3 o'clock in the morning when the police have just cut them down from trying to hang themselves, or they've just whatever, you know, they are at their depths. And one thing I really not like about it, that's the wrong word, but you know, is at that time in the life, you know, when they've just tried to end their life, all this surface nonsense is gone, do you know? And we can really get down some heart-to-heart communication with people, you know? Usually when we're you know, you could be having all these problems in your life and people say, oh, how are you? And you say, oh, yeah, I'm okay, yeah. And really, you're dying inside, you know? But we don't communicate, you know? A lot of our life is just, it can be, you know, just passing the time, aren't we, till we die, with no real essence to it, if we're not careful, And I'm not saying, you know, yeah, maybe it's just me, you know, I'm not saying your lives are meaningless, you know, please don't, you know, but I think generally, whereas, you know, if we knew, like the NHS woman, you know, the woman who was misdiagnosed, if we knew we had a finite time, if we knew we had a week to live, do you think you would spend it watching the EastEnders omnibus, or trying to get to the final level on this game? Oh, I just want to get to Grand Theft, you know, level 10 on Grand Theft Auto, and that's how I'm going to spend my last week. You wouldn't, would you? You know, we'd be, you know, we'd be telling people we love them, wouldn't we? We'd be all the things that we like. Oh, you know, only 20 people liked me thing on social media, and you get really bothered about it. That you wouldn't give two hoots about that, would you? You know. You know, we'd live our life, you know, meaningfully, wouldn't we? You know, I know, like, and, you know, understanding how precious it is, how meaningful it is. Like, I know, like, say I had a heart attack in November, so it was a bit of, like, traumatic experience, really. But afterwards, it was really, like, beautiful, you know, in the, like, I felt like really present and really, really grateful. You know, I remember, like, I was going along, it was the middle of winter, and I was getting, my girlfriend was driving me along, and just looking at the trees and the rain and the winds, thinking, how beautiful is this? This is amazing. Really grateful for and really appreciative of being here now in this dark rain. It's amazing, you know. But then it fades, you know, that feeling of gratitude and, and, and appreciating this precious life I have, then it fades. Before you know where you are, you're watching EastEnders again, playing on your game, do you know? So we need to meditate on it, because meditation takes it from our here, from our intellect to our heart, so it starts affecting how we feel, how we think, how we act, yeah? Like, you know, we all say, you know, people smoke, don't they? I used to smoke, you know. So, and people would say, oh, that'll kill you, that, you know. Oh, yeah, you know, I know, intellectually, you know. But maybe one day then you go to the doctors with a thing and you've got a lump and you've lung cancer because of your smoking, and you could die, you know. Then you really know, don't you? It's like you really, you know, understand, you get like, understand, oh my words, I should have packed in, shouldn't have smoked, do you know? Because you've taken that from here to here. You have a heartfelt experience of that. I should have packed in smoking. It's probably a bit of a mad example, but this is what meditation does. You know, it takes it deep into our heart, you know. And it moves our mind. You know, it moves our mind. So, you know, the time to fear death is not on our deathbed. It's now, isn't it? It's now. It's when you're young. You know, Death Sess, like, you know, unless we, as Shanti Dave said, didn't he, is like, you know, unless we realise the preciousness of our human life and follow a spiritual path, we're no better than animals. Because animals can gather resources, have families, build houses, protect their things, you know. So that's what, you know, we could live our life doing that. We could live our life doing so much more, can't we? You know. But so yeah, our problem is we just think, I'm not going to die today. I'm not going to die. I am going to die, but not. You know, over there sometime. So this mind, like, that thinks, I will die, but I'm not going to die today. It's deceiving us. You know, it's deceptive. Because, one, we don't know. Do we? We don't know. Like, we could die today, couldn't we? One of us could die today. Easily. Like, I made me lunch for them 2 characters at the back and went upstairs and had a heart attack. And, you know, like, but we, you know, we think, well, I'm not going to die today because I've got too much on. You know, I've got to go out, I'm going to see me girlfriend later, and then England are playing tomorrow. Can't die tomorrow, England are playing. I'll probably, you know, and then I'm back at work on Monday, so I can't die on Monday. You know, this is what we think, you know. So this, and it's not true, because we don't know. Maybe we probably have got 30 years left, 40 years left, whatever it is. You know, hopefully. But we don't know. So, the mind that thinks, I might die today, this is based on truth, isn't it? It's based on reality, on truth. You know? And this is like, when we think that spontaneously, you wake up in the morning and think, today might be my last day on earth. You know? This is a realisation of death. This is what we want. Because then we'll make the most of every minute of our life, of this precious opportunity that we have. You know? And this will eliminate, this realisation of death will eliminate the laziness of attachment. You know? And opens the door to our spiritual path, basically. You know? So, to meditate on death, then, there's kind of, well, in Gesh, we're going to do the meditation on death from an early copy of the new meditation handbook, where there's kind of 3 aspects to it. You know, one, we think, we just try and contemplate, you know, I will definitely die. I will definitely die. But the time of my death is uncertain. Yeah. And we meditate thinking, I might die today, I might die today. So fear arises really, you know. Oh my God, I might die today. In the later editions of like the meditation handbook and in Mirror of Dharma and things, that's the meditation object really, is the fear. But in the earlier edition, which is what I'm going to do, is there's a kind of third aspect. So you think, I might die today. Sorry, I'll definitely die. Definitely. Become convinced of that. Think I might die today. Become convinced of that. And we'll naturally just come to the conclusion, saying I might die today. I've got to, I'm not going to get, attached to the meaningless things of this life. I've got to practice spiritual practice, and I've got to do it now. So in our first meditation, it was to encourage us to make the most of our human life and practice a spiritual path. And this one is, I've got to make the most of my human life, practice a spiritual path now, while I've got the chance, because I might not have it tomorrow, you know. So it gives us the impetus and opens the door to our spiritual path, you know. Because at the time of death, what will help us? Only our practice, only our spiritual practice, only the virtue we've built up, you know. So in Joyful Path, there's a chapter on death. It's quite, and so I'd advise you to read. Really, Joyful Path of Good Fortune by Geshe Kelsang. So in that, Geshe says, like the first point, because what we need to do is, like when we did the first meditation, or when we're doing meditation, we need to get we're looking to get a specific mind to arise, aren't we? So say if you're going to meditate on compassion, well, you need that feeling of compassion, or you're going to meditate on love, whatever. You need to get that feeling of love or gratitude. You need to get that feeling. So you have to think about it. You can't just feel compassion. Feel compassion now. Well, I can't. You've got to think about it, contemplate, haven't you? How people suffer, how living beings suffer, how my nan's got arthritis, how whatever it is. Think about that until compassion arises in our heart. Then stop thinking about it and soak our mind in it. And our mind becomes that. This is how meditation works. So we need to do some contemplation to get these minds to arise that we're like trying to generate, yeah, to get our meditation object to arise. So, to contemplate actually gives different lines of reasoning to help us. So I will definitely die. There's no way to prevent our death, is there? All the money in the world, like the Queen, the richest woman in the world, she couldn't prevent death, when our karma for this life runs out, that's it, we're gone, and our life ebbs away, moment by moment, doesn't it? Like my girlfriend's little niece, who's 2 days old now. Blessed, so she's got 2 days less, isn't she, of her lifespan? It never stops. It's like, like an egg timer, isn't it? When we're born, you should give us all a big egg timer. Because our life, so when we're fast asleep, the sun's running, isn't it? It never stops, son. Never stops, moment by moment, our life slips away. So we need to think about this, and it happens ready or not. It's like that game hide and seek, innit? Coming, ready or not. That's what it is, isn't it? Again, I've mentioned my brother-in-law a couple of times, but when he died, him and my sister had gone on holiday, and he was walking up a mountain, got a bit breathless, and then anyway, on the holiday, what they decided, because they had kids young, so the kids were kind of, adults, man. It's like, when are you going to leave this nest, for God's sake? So what they thought was, we're sick of the kids draining us, and, so they were going to come back, kick the kids out, buy a camper van, and spend the weekends going going round. That's what he decided. And we'll go away on holidays and things. The money we save on the kids, we're going to spend on ourselves, you know what I mean? That was the plan. Good plan, man, good plan. And he came back, you know, with this great plan. Like that, he was dead. You know, he's dead. A couple of weeks later. So, whether we're ready for death or not, it doesn't matter. It's coming, isn't it? You know. You know, Gessler uses the example. He says, you know, if we had 1 week to live and our friend gave us a diamond, you wouldn't be interested. You know, because it's like, what use is this? He says, but this is the exact situation we're in. We might only have a week to live. We don't know. We don't know. You know. And we think we have loads of time. You know, it's funny, like I was saying there about how I felt really present after having a heart attack and then it fades. You know, I was talking to a woman, a Spanish woman in Manchester Centre, on our mother's centre, in the lakes one time. And she said, like, she'd got a couple of kids, she was from Spain, and she had this medical problem, can't remember what it was, but they thought it was you know, something that was going to kill her, basically, can't remember what it was. But she had this condition. So she had all these symptoms, and they were saying, like, we're like 90% sure you've got this, and we can't do nothing about that, you're going to die, basically. So, but it was going to take, I don't know what it was, the condition, but it was going to take a couple of months. They were testing and doing this, that, and the other. But they were 90% sure that you're going to die. So she had 2 kids, so she was panicking, obviously, you know. And she said to me that, like, the progress she made on her spiritual path in them 2 months was incredible, because she knew she was going to die. And she said she just made loads of progress, you know. But then finally, it come to pass that she didn't have this thing, and she had all this other thing that mirrored it, and oh yeah, we can sort that, just take a pill, you'll be fine, you know, whatever, right? And she said it was really interesting, because once she realised she had loads of time again, all the spiritual gains she lost, you know, because she was just, I've got loads of time again. She said it, and it was really interesting to watch. She said how it all fell away. So this is why we need to meditate on it, because meditation takes it deep into our heart, so it won't fall anywhere, you know. So, you know, our life's like a flash of lightning, really, isn't it? It feels like a long time, doesn't it? But when you're a kid, but now, like, someone in work yesterday said, my God, I can't believe it's June. I don't even remember May. You know, I can't believe it's you know, don't the years fly by the older you get? We haven't got long left, have we? You know? And we're going to spend most of that, or a good third of that, sleeping, what we've got left. And we'll probably spend another good chunk eating, you know, or washing up after all we've eaten, or cooking what we're going to eat next, or shopping for, you know, or working. We spend a lot of time working, don't we? You know. So if we work out how much time we actually got, we haven't got a lot of time at all, really. So we can think of these things until we come to the firm, clear conclusion. I'm going to die. I am going to die. No question about it. Everything that's ever lived has died. And then we can move on to our second point. You know, the time of death is uncertain. The time of our death is completely uncertain, which we've probably covered, you know, in that last point anyway, really. You know, just because we're young or we're healthy, if there's any young and healthy people out there, you know, if there are, you know, just because we're young and we're healthy, or people die all the time. People die of accidents, don't they? You know. You know, a good, like, have you ever on Facebook, there's that, I don't know if anyone's on Facebook, that Katampa prayer request It's like a Facebook page, Gatampa prayer request. You know, it's a great, you know, I'm not into social media, but that's worth having, you know, it really is. And it's just people putting a thing on, please pray for this person, that person. And if you're struggling to feel compassion, just read that page. There's people on it who are like, oh, me 7-year-old child, or me this, or me that, and you can see it's not just old people falling off the edge. It's everyone in between, you know. So the time of our death is completely uncertain, and we might not get no warning. And there's so many conditions conducive to death, isn't there? You know, I remember when I was a kid, we used to have like this family health thing. It was like a medical encyclopedia. It's all on the internet now, isn't it? But I used to look at it when I was a kid, you know, and it was like A to Z of horrible things that can happen to you. You know what I mean? And I used to read it when I was a kid, like, wow, look at that, man. You know, there's like loads of things, isn't it, that can kill us. Where the things that can keep us alive, you know, it's a fine balance, our body, innit? It's a fine balance, you know. It's easily destroyed. Right? It's very, very fragile. It doesn't take much at all. It takes a little tiny little cell or virus or anything, and you can't even see it, and it's going to do you in. You know. So yeah, and we don't know how long our life's going to be, what our karmically determined lifespan is. And then the third point, we can think, you know, at my death, you know, I'm going to die, I might die today. What can help? We get this fearful feeling, I might die today. What's going to help me now? It's only our spiritual path, isn't it? It's all that can help us, you know. So our object of meditation, you know, I'll read our object of meditation, really. You know, since I shall soon have to depart from this world, there's no sense in becoming attached to the things of this life. Instead, I'll devote my life to the practice of Dharma. So Dharma, if you don't know, like Dharma means like Buddha's teachings. It just means following a spiritual path, really. You know, training our minds in positive states. Because Buddha Dharma is like the actual method we can use, like the instructions, how to get rid of our anger, how to get rid of our impatience, how to increase our love, kindness, generally, you know, more. So what I'll do then, I will read. I'll just read the point out instructions of this meditation, which is in the meditation handbook. So it's the second one. Okay. So we'll go through that. So we're going to do a nice long death meditation. How's that sound? Okay, so if we get into our meditation posture. So the purpose of this meditation is to eliminate the laziness of attachment, which is the main obstacle to practicing Dharma purely. Because our desire for worldly enjoyment is so strong, we have little or no interest in spiritual practice. From a spiritual point of view, this lack of interest in spiritual practice is a type of laziness called the laziness of attachment. For as long as we have this laziness, the door to liberation will be closed to us, and consequently, we shall continue to experience misery in this life and endless suffering in life after life. The way to overcome this laziness is to meditate on death. We need to contemplate and meditate on our death again and again until we gain a deep realization of death. Although on an intellectual level, we all know that eventually we are going to die, our awareness of death remains superficial. Since our intellectual knowledge of death does not touch our hearts, each and every day we continue to think, I shall not die today. I shall not die today. Even on the day of our death, we are still thinking about what we shall do tomorrow or next week. This mind that thinks every day, I shall not die today, is deceptive. It leads us in the wrong direction and causes our human life to become empty. On the other hand, through meditating on death, we shall gradually replace the deceptive thought, I shall not die today, with the non-deceptive thought, I may die today. The mind that spontaneously thinks each and every day, I may die today, is the realization of death. And it is this realization that directly eliminates our laziness of attachment and opens the door to the spiritual path. In general, we may die today or we may not die today, we don't know. However, if we think each day, I may not die today, this thought will deceive us because it comes from our ignorance, whereas if instead we think each and every day, I may die today, this thought will not deceive us because it comes from our wisdom. This beneficial thought will prevent our laziness of attachment and will encourage us to prepare for the welfare of our countless future lives, or put great effort into entering the path to liberation. In this way, we shall make our human life meaningful. So we can contemplate. I shall definitely die. There is no way to prevent my body from finally decaying. Day by day, moment by moment, my life is slipping away. I have no idea when I shall die. The time of death is completely uncertain. Many young people die before their parents. Some die the moment they are born. There is no certainty in this world. Furthermore, there are so many cases of untimely death. The lives of many strong and healthy people are destroyed by accidents. There is no guarantee that I shall not die today. So, contemplating these points and everything we've heard today, we mentally repeat to ourselves over and over, I may die today. I may die today. And concentrate on the feeling that it evokes. may die today. I may die today. Just keep repeating this to yourself and concentrate on the feeling that it arises, that it evokes. Try and get some feeling of the truth of this. Eventually we shall come to a conclusion. Since I shall soon have to depart this world, there is no sense in my becoming attached to the things of this life. Instead, I would devote my whole life to the practice of Dharma. And this determination is our object of meditation. Hold it in your heart without forgetting it. I shall devote my whole life to the practice of Dharma. Hold this in your heart. Since I shall soon have to depart this world, there is no sense in my becoming attached to the things of this life. Instead, I will devote my whole life to the practice of Dharma. Hold this determination in your heart for the rest of the meditation. Before we bring our meditation to a close, we can positively dedicate any positive energy we've created in our heart today to us realising our death on the deepest level. So this wisdom permeates our life and affects everything we think, everything we say, and everything we do. Not just for our benefit, but for the benefit of every living being. May everyone be happy. May everyone be free from suffering. Okay, thank you everyone. We can bring our meditation to a close and in our own time open our eyes. So, you know, our real Dharma practice, it's great coming here, but our real Dharma practice is now, isn't it? The rest of our life, isn't it? Out there. That's where we need to start practicing, you know. Death Sess, during the meditation break, we try to practice Dharma without laziness, realising that worldly pleasures are deceptive and that they distract us from using our life in a meaningful way. We should abandon attachment to them. In this way, we can eliminate the main obstacle to pure Dharma practice. So, we've got a couple of minutes left. Has anyone got any questions? If you have, anyway. If you don't want to ask them now or whatever. I'll go on. Yeah. Yeah.
And you said you move from like one consciousness to another. Would the person's character move with that? Would it be like...
Yeah, well, we move from one body to the, or one life to the next, yeah. But our consciousness is like, so will the character move?
The character remain, like,
so this won't, but the imprints of our actions will. Right. Yeah. So like, I'm Eddie, I'm a man, I'm a social worker, I'm a Everton fan, I'm a this, I'm a that. That's gone. You know, in the same way, like, you know, when you go to sleep at night, this all disappears, you know. But the effects of our actions will be, we keep, that's all we keep with us, that's all we take with us. It is the imprints of our actions, basically, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you will be gone, you know. So I hope that was beneficial, folks. I would honestly, I would really recommend meditating on death. It's why I'm sitting here now. It really is, you know. And it's not morbid at all. It's quite the opposite, in fact. So We do lots of classes and courses here. If you come, I'm sure you're aware. So next one is Starry. At the back, we'll be swapping seats, mate, maybe. And he's going to be coming up here on Pure Mind, Pure World on the 13th of July, which is what, 2 weeks is that? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Same time, same place. So yeah, get a flyer, book. It's a lovely way to spend a Saturday morning, isn't it? Well, mate, and I hope everyone has a nice day and a nice life, what's left of it.